Hello and welcome back to Lately Fashionable. I am Chelsea Souter and it has come to my attention that I need more hats. That may sound insane, especially if you watched my previous video about naming all of my vintage hats, but in truth, I do not have very many summer hats. I basically have 3 and I need more. So today we are going to find some hats and fix them up. So I have a lot of hats, and the hats that are in these boxes are not in a ready-to-wear condition. I buy a lot of hats at thrift stores, and what I'm looking for typically is either 100% wool felted hats or straw hats. And I don't typically care about their condition or their embellishments because I can always fix them or refashion them if they need to be. And these are all of my hats that either need to be repaired or refashioned before I am interested in wearing them. I also got the largest 2 hat boxes at a thrift store. Okay, let's see what we've got. Now this hat is actually the one that I was thinking about wearing today. I had already gone ahead and removed this rather tragic ribbon that was tied in a little bow. It's exceedingly cheap ribbon, and I also don't like the color. It's a little too like orangey red, doesn't exactly match the hat, but the hat itself is very cute. Adorable, right? And I got it for $4. Not bad. Did I mention that I need hats more for summer wear for sun protection, more so than fashion? I actually don't really like wearing hats when it's hot outside, but if I'm getting sun protection out of it, then that's worth it. And this one, with that nice wide brim in front, will actually offer some sun protection, so that's good. Now what I think I want to do with this one is add some trim around the base of the crown just to make it a little bit more fun. And turns out I have the perfect red braid already in my stash, and when I wrap it around, it literally looks like it's part of the hat. It looks so much like it was made that way. And I do have enough. I'm considering also sewing some around the edge of the brim, but I'm not sold on that idea yet. I'm going to start with it on the crown, wear it once, and see how I like it. Of course, I have to decide, do I want the lace pointing down or up? To be determined. This hat is a really nice straw. It's really fine, really beautifully woven, and is in really good condition. A lot of times straw hats come with some damage, and this one has none that I can see. I just don't like the shape of the brim. Now, I most likely initially bought this one to make a historical hat because I do a lot of historical costuming, but I'm thinking if I reshape the brim, turn it down, I can make it sort of a 50s sun hat, very like Dior inspired. And this would be a really good base for interchangeable ribbons around the crown to give it a different look and pair with different outfits. Really nice and neutral. So I think I just need to get it wet and reshape it. And once again, it will give good sun protection when the brim is actually turned down. The only issue with that is the hem of the braid has been turned up because, of course, you want the finished edge, the nicely finished edge, to be visible, and so I'm going to need to play around with that, see what I can do. I might end up covering the brim with fabric. Maybe covering the whole hat with fabric and leaving the underside the nice light color. Okay, there is a tiny bit of damage on the brim here, but I might have just done that. I will be more careful when I reshape it. Very similar hat, which will probably get a very similar treatment. In fact, I might start with this one because it's already almost shaped that way. And this one also has a very beautiful, fine weave to it. And this one has a woven finished edge, so it looks good from both directions. So this one I can leave as the plain straw. That will be good. What else do I have? Oh, now this one will be a winter hat. It is wool felt, and I like the shape of it. I think it's a very interesting and unique shape, but I do not like the trim. I think it's very cheap looking, once again, especially this leaf. So I want to replace this gold braid with a cream colored braid and keep it very, very neutral. So that was the first box. Let's see what's in this one. All right, I've got a brown wool felt, very linty, which needs to be blocked. I think I was going to make a fedora, like a 1940s ladies fedora. I'll probably still do that. I forgot about this when I was complaining about not having any brown hats, but I also have this purple one. This did have a ribbon on it and a pretty gaudy purple flower that I took off years ago with the intention of refashioning this in some way. Looks like I also undid the hem. I wonder if it had wire in the brim and I took it out. Who knows? Here's one that I started blocking. I put these ridges in because I thought that was kind of an interesting look, but then I wasn't really sure what to do with the brim, so kind of stopped working on it. And if I flip the brim down, that could be something. Ooh, it's big on me. I don't know, but that will be another winter hat. I think these are all felt in here. Yes, they are all felt, so probably I'm not going to get to any of these in this video, but for future videos. Another cream wool felt. I actually really like the bow on this one. Not this part. I don't like that. But this is nice. Like a nice taffeta fabric. I don't know if I'm sold on the other ribbon, but I also got this one for $4. Ooh. This is a good color. It's like rich burgundy. It's reading more cherry red on the camera, but in real life this is closer to burgundy. I do not care for the faux snakeskin band and bow there, so that will need to get removed. Oh, another brown. So basically when I buy these wool felt hats, I treat them as blanks, always with the intention of reblocking them, especially this very, very floppy brim. There's a lot of potential, but blocking hats is a whole nother skill that I have only started to develop. This is kind of the extent of what I have done so far, and I need more practice at it. So I have a lot of practice to come. That's the end of that box. Last one. Now this one mainly has hats that I specifically bought for historical hats, mainly Edwardian, because the really big brimmed hats are so fun and a little hard to find, but this one could also be a vintage hat. It is coming apart, so I will need to fix that first. I think I do like the ribbon on it, but I'm not sure why this is a loop and not separate, you know, ties. So I'll need to figure that out, but I think I'll need to take this off before I can repair it. So I'll figure out what I'm gonna do when I put it back on. It's very sweet and adorable, but put it on very carefully. Another good sun protection hat. Another $4 thrift store hat. This one will definitely be an Edwardian hat someday. It has so much potential. It's already like almost there, but I do think this fabric reads as very synthetic, so not correct for the period. But I do like the color. This one will be so much fun when I finally do whatever I'm going to do with it. Oh, this one's a bit squashed. A black straw hat might be a good thing for summer. Maybe. Definitely needs some reblocking, some TLC. I do not care for these big gaudy flowers, so those will be removed. But again, a lot of potential. Ooh. This hat I've had for a very long time. I think my sister bought me this hat years and years ago. I think I was in college, and I have worn it a lot. I added a strap so that I could tie it because it kept blowing off my head. And it definitely landed in a lake once. So it's not as white as it used to be. It's very dingy. So I don't think I can wash it. I don't know. Oh, this was such a good hat. I don't know if I can salvage it, but I have a lot of good memories with this hat. So we're going to start with these 5 hats. These 2 straw. This one is actually made of paper and polyester, according to the tag. The black straw and the red, I don't know what it is, woven lace, I guess. Yeah, see how far we get. I'm going to do this one very first because, like I said, I want to wear it today, and I already know what I'm going to do with it, and it will take like 5 stitches to tack this down. It'll be very quick, very easy, and I'll have a new hat. Yay! And here's the finished hat. I did wear her today, and I'm very happy. I have named her Sasha. It just felt right. Next. Okay, next hat. I'm going to reshape this one. I'm going to turn the brim down so it's a more vintage shape. First I need to get it wet, and then I will need to block it to dry. And I have a thought on how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a towel, a rolled up towel, and put it in a little donut and then sort of drape this over that and hope that it works. And then because the turned up edge, the raw edge of the brim is on the top, I'm going to cut strips, bias strips of this peacock blue silk satin that I have scraps of, and sew strips around the brim and possibly another strip around the base of the crown. And I think that will look really cute. And that will coordinate with the fabric that I'm going to make into a dress. Haven't started yet, but I think that will be a great vacation hat, a great summer hat, and I'm excited. Here we go. that is now dry, although it doesn't look it because where it was wet it has changed color. So it's a good thing I am going to put a band around the bottom of the crown. Also, it occurred to me that having the sharp raw edges of the straw on the underside of the silk that I'm going to stitch around here might not be good, because that could poke through, and even if it doesn't actually damage the silk, it might just look bad. So I dug through my stash of flannel and I found this piece, which helpfully is a similar color to the straw and already has a bias cut edge. So I'm going to cut a strip of this and then just put it under the silk when I attach it to the brim. Okay, we are making some headway. So because this is a bias, you can somewhat manipulate it with an iron, and I did stretch it out along this edge and sort of ease it in along this edge because it's going to flip around and I want it to be shorter. And then I also stretched and pinned all the way along the brim. And then as I was sewing it, I just put this strip of flannel underneath. And that worked really well. Flannel's very sticky, so it sort of stayed where I put it, and it went very smoothly under the needle. I just went and laid the flannel on the sewing machine plate and followed it along. Don't have any footage of that, obviously, but so now on the outside I'm just making sure this is smoothed down to the edge and then pulling this up and around. And my flannel strip is longer than it needs to be, but I have decided that I'm just going to treat both as one and fold them down. And then, as you can see, it is easing pretty nicely, and I'll have to do a little bit more smoothing as I sew, but I'm going to sew this edge by hand. So I'm just pinning that in place. And then I'm going to do all this hand sewing on my trip, either while my husband is driving or while we're flying, or in the airport when we have downtime. And I will hand sew the band around the crown as well. Like I said, I was able to finish the hand sewing on this hat on my trip and wear it on my vacation. The only downside is it is a little fragile. The straw, especially in the brim, is rather brittle and prone to breaking if I'm not very careful, which unfortunately meant that I couldn't pack it in my suitcase with all of my other hats, which was fine because I could just wear it on the airplane, which I did, and that was great for the one traveling day that I did not have my hair in pin curls and a kerchief. But it didn't really fit on my head with the kerchief and the pin curls for the other two traveling days, so it was not ideal, but I made it work. Let me know if you would like to see a video of how I do pack my hats for a long vacation. Now this band of silk has gotten a little bit wrinkled because I had put another hat on top of it and didn't realize that it was pushing down. I only sewed around the bottom and then like 3 stitches here at the back to tack it in place. I didn't actually sew all the way around the top of the band, mostly because I was so over it at that point. I was trying very hard to stitch in a way, especially on the brim, on the underside, that you wouldn't be able to see the stitches. So I was literally sewing underneath the braid of the straw. And that took a lot of attention and neck strain and hand strain. So by the time I was sewing this down, I just wanted to get it on and be done. So it's not quite as fully sturdily sewn as I probably should have done, but it works. And I am very happy with it, and I did wear it on my vacation. I wore it on the very last day of my vacation, which made the fact that I was wearing it on the plane 3 different times a little bit annoying, because every other hat I could pack in my suitcase. Just not this one. Anyway, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw my poll for naming this hat. I did also put the poll on YouTube in a post, and I did get a lot of votes both places. And I have totaled them up, and the winner is Adele. So my hat is now Adele, which I think suits her. I was personally polling for Mimi, but Adele won. But I will use Mimi again. I will in fact use all of those suggestions again, because I took suggestions from my followers across multiple platforms, and I put them all in a list, and then I took my 4 favorites to put in the poll, because I could only do 4 options in the poll. But I still have that list of all of the other names that people gave me, and I will use them for future hats, because I'm not done with hats. There's one left still in this video, which is getting long. And I have other hats I plan to make, and I have other holes to fill in my hat collection that I will potentially buy in the future. So I have a bank of names now to work with, and there might be more polls if I am undecided on what to name a hat, but this one is Adele. So on to the next one. Here she is. I did go ahead and soak this one and shape it a little bit as well, mostly because the crown was crumpled and it's now round again. There is some damage to the straw here, and I don't know if I can repair that, so maybe I'll cover it with a decoration of some kind. I think the shape of this one is already very nice. The brim has that sort of soft curve down, which I like. So now I just need to decide how to decorate her. here she is, all finished. I can wear it either with the flower in the front or in the back. I can't really wear it sideways because of the shape of the crown. It really is an oval, so I think I like this way. What do you think? And I have named her Mimi, since that was my favorite name from the poll for naming this hat. And she's a very similar shape and style to Adele, but I think just a little sweeter, and I really like her. Now, the crown is really tall on this hat, I think because it's actually a little too small for my head. I think it's supposed to be like a child size, but it fits nicely. It's just a very tall crown, so there's like this much that's sitting up above my head, and I'm just going to call it a style because I really like it. I have had this applique for years and I've been searching for a use for it, and I think I always knew it was going on a hat. I did not know it was going to be on a straw hat. I think I was picturing a 1920s cloche hat, but I think this is actually better. Yeah, I'm really happy. I think it's fun and unique, and I'm looking forward to wearing her. So now we have Sasha, Mimi, and Adele. Which one is your favorite? I cannot pick. They fill such different niches in my hat collection, and I love them all equally. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you did, feel free to give me a like, and if you want to see more, definitely subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! I typically buy hats. Hold on. It's a little bit of the across multiple